So I'm back at the Xbox One X again. I was getting ready to do some thermal testing on it, and I ran into a problem kind of immediately where it was shutting down due to overheating. Thinking on it and sort of poking around, I think I figured out why. So the phase change thermal pad, I'm thinking like, oh good, maybe this phase change thermal pad is all talk and no game. No, I think I just installed it incorrectly. In that there's it's sort of sandwiched between two plastic films, and I only removed one of the plastic films. Whoopsie. So I did sort of like a similar classic case of leaving the plastic film on the cooler when you first install it on a PC. Thing I see on Reddit every once in a while. It's like, oh, that's why my thermals are awful. I'm hoping that's the case, and if not, I'll scrape off the thermal pad and put paste on like the good Lord Microsoft intended. I gotta remember how this comes off again. And I'll also be making an executive decision. I'll do that a little later, after I get this done. Yeah, this really wants to slide forward. Let's just say I've never really gotten a hang of having to take this off. Without it getting kind of snagged and getting a little uncomfy. When I first booted this console, I just noted it was just horribly slow on boot process, which is normal. So I made the executive decision. I'm going to put an SSD in it. Problem is, SSDs are prohibitively expensive. And thankfully my electronics recycler, does have some SSDs kicking around. Biggest problem, the biggest sort of compromise I need to make here is this is a 256 gigabyte, which is not much. Especially compared to like Red Dead Redemption 2, which was the game I grabbed as my sort of thermal testing platform, was 100 gigs. It was over 100 gigs in size. Combine that with the OS, you can maybe put Red Dead Redemption on this hard drive twice before it's completely full. So I'm going to combo that with the 2 terabyte that's in there as an external. I'll get an external enclosure for it and just sell them as a pair. That'll be about 2.25 terabyte of space. So for the OS and any like games that can utilize the speed of an SSD, you can put it internally. And then any other bulk game downloads you can put externally. I just think that's going to be the best situation, because then having a snappier OS, I think, is going to be well worth the lowered capacity. As much as I would rather have them both comboed, like, would I love to have a 2 terabyte, 2.5-inch SSD that I can just kick around and throw into this? Absolutely, but that is just simply not the world we live in. It's not realistic, and I mean, I would be eating so much money if I did that. Okay, I can't remove this. So I need to get all the way down to my thermal pads, or the thermal pad, and just see if there's a nice film of plastic that's all nice and melty. Hopefully I don't have to scrape it off. And then as far as the SSD, I'll probably do that later, because once I get the phase change figured out, or once I get the thermal solution figured out, I need to actually thermal test it. And I have Red Dead installed onto the internal hard drive. It took a while. It's 100 gigs off the internet because I only own it digitally. I don't want to download it again for no reason, so I'm gonna do my thermal testing on the hard drive. It should be fine. It'll do it. It'll do what I want it to do. It'll just, and then I can do the SSD as I'm sort of getting ready to do sort of finalizing testing. Once that the thermals are like everything is good with the thermals, then I can wipe the internal drive and get all that prepared. I'm going to doubt heavily that I can just swap or I can just take the internal drive, make it external, and still read content off of it. I might be able to, but I don't know if the Xbox is expecting the external drive to be formatted like an internal drive. It might not see the partition. It might even see the game partition, but a lot of space would just be taken up by OS, which is completely and utterly irrelevant at that point. I removed, sort of went a little bit ahead. I removed the screws for the hard drive. Right. I have to bend that up to get the front housing away from the disk drive. Long boy, the short boy. Okay, I won't be able to take that out. Before I get too ahead of myself, I'm gonna put everything in pillboxes. Start by normal Sunday. The exterior screws, front panel screws. This is for that plug for one of the USB ports. Studs I can't do anything with, they're too big. Hard drive screws go into Wednesday. Those sort of odd rear screws go into Thursday. I'm going through my iFixit guide again here. So I need to do the fan and power supply. I'm pretty sure these are all the same screws. What's weird is they color all of these screws differently in this iFixit guide, but they're all the same screw. Go on the Friday. Probably just remove the X clamp screws while I'm in here. Saturday. I really don't have to go much further than this. I will at least take out the power supply. Now let's get the... Should be able to take the entire thing out. I know there was one screw that was still kind of in here. I don't know how important it was. Important enough to hold in the motherboard. Oh, and probably this front panel as well. There's this screw right here. The T10. Before I go ahead and strip it. And I'll get this panel over here off. So the lonely screw will go into not Sunday. Not Monday will go these screws. Smaller. T8. The black screws over near the Microsoft text. Oh, and I should probably just remove these so it's not floppy all over the place. Oh, there's another case screw. Right next to these, like, plastic through-hole pieces. Go also into the Not Sunday. Now let's just see if my assumption is correct and there's a plastic film on that phase change pad, which I think there is. And then I can properly berate myself for being dumb. I'm gonna guess that's it. Because you can tell it just smushed very nicely into a rectangular pattern. Let's see if I can find like an edge. Here it is. Yep, so I'm dumb. This is the first time I've used this stuff, so I'll be a little lenient. Yeah, let's get this back on. And see if this thing can actually handle Red Dead Redemption 2. Not whimper and cry. Before I get too far, I need to see. I should probably just, instead of me wasting my time taking this thing apart to change out the hard drive, I should probably just do that right now. I was not to say I wasn't paying attention because I was recording it, but I just need to verify the position of the X clamp. So it points this way. I'm doing this kind of upside down. It points opposite to where the hard drive is sitting. So what I need to do is I need to unmount the spinning drive, and I need to actually get this SSD formatted. Because I did not do any of that prep work. Just to get this part done so I don't have to worry about it later. So I have sort of the completed package. And if it means reinstalling Red Dead 2, it means reinstalling Red Dead 2. That just means I'm going to need to do the thermal testing later. Unless I can access the game file from this drive without formatting it. Which I'm highly doubtful I'll be able to access it, but I may be surprised, and I hope I am surprised. If not, I'll just have to do the thermal testing later. That is not supposed to be a retention. There. Good lord. Okay, so SanDisk. Let me get my enclosure set up. I'm just glad they had my recycler had a brand of SSD that I heard of. They get a lot of weird stuff. A lot of strange brands that I've never heard of that are probably reputable, but I'm just used to sort of the Samsungs and the SanDisks. And if they're not that brand, I don't like trusting data with them. Like, what's this brand? This is a Samsung. So adding the partitions won't take that long. Not long at all. Probably popped up as an initialized disk. Yep. My recycler does their job and completely wipes all the disks that they get. Let me go to my Xbox One, Tools. Need to open command terminal as admin in this file. All right, because I used create Xbox drive.bat, replace drive. Oh, I wonder if I can even do this with such a small drive. This is disk 5, yes. So they only have partition layouts for 500, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte. I'll try the 500 terabyte, or the 500. Yeah, it's not going to let me set up a... Okay, I might have to look up. I'm hopefully able to do this. I should be able to, unless 500 is the bare minimum. I might just have to work on it later. And just see if I can figure out if I need to partition it, or I need to find a different partitioning software, or if I just have to do all that manually. Hmm. Well, if AI is to be believed, the Xbox will create its own partitions with an OS 1 update. That is not how I understood how this works. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I will give it a try. I won't screw it in. Okay, thermal solutions figured out. I can put this back into its metal chassis. Get it together enough to test to see if I can apply the OS 1 without too much difficulty here. And if I can't, I'll just have to look another time for a partitioning script that will allow for a smaller drive. Okay, I want to actually put the screws in for this plug, just to help hold it in place. At least one of these screws. I was having this problem last time. I would put it in, I'd line it up, but then it would just sort of fall out of position. There goes. And there it goes again. There's a little collection of dust at the end of this. Must have missed this during my cleaning. There, that should keep it in place so it doesn't go all floppy on me. So now I can manipulate it into this canal, or the little clip here for it. Get that nice and seated, and then plunk this in. I think I'm mostly together enough to test. See if my thermal performance is better. I actually don't know what this side panel is for. I'll have to probably plug it in anyway. Just in case it's something important. Probably is. It looks like an antenna, so it might be Wi-Fi. I mean, the hard drive's not coming out, so I can put the screws for it in. Or not the hard drive, the motherboard's not coming out again. Assuming I don't have more thermal issues, but I think the plastic film on the phase change pad is a good way to break it. Or to not give it the best chance, let's just say. I tried loading up into Red Dead Redemption 2, and it gave me the error message like, hey, please, I need some ventilation. Need some ventilation, sir. And then after a couple more times trying to get into story mode, it just completely turned off. It's like, well, alright. My bad, my friend. I don't need... Yeah, so the power button is a separate button. Should be a button on this front panel. Yes, it is. So I'm going to need to do two things. Well, first, I need to turn the thing on and see if it will boot. If it is the way that I understand, and I do think AI is incorrect, it's not going to apply the partitions. It's just going to see an invalid hard drive and just hang on a black screen. Which is exactly what I expect. If that's the case, then I'm going to just have to look for a partition tool that can utilize a smaller drive, smaller than 500 gigabytes. See if my capture card wants to behave. I need to find my OS1 or the offline updater. Let's plop it right here because I'm going to need a USB cable for a controller. Okay, I got a controller. Alright, Xbox. See what you do for me. Oh, okay. Well, that's a bit promising. So it does see the unpartitioned drive. Hang on. I just need to change the input on my HDMI changer because the capture card induces a delay that's a little jarring. I'm gonna reset everything. I feel like I tried this with an unpartitioned drive and it didn't work. So, offline system updater. Something went wrong. Huh. So, I think it does need the partition. Either it needs the partitions or because this is a non-standardized size, it's just not gonna work. Unless my offline updater card is maybe slipped out a little or something. I'm jumping to conclusions. But I mean, it's recognizing that I have a stick-in with an offline system updater. So yeah, okay. I'll put in the old drive for now, just for testing. And try and figure that out. And if I'm forced to get a 500 gigabyte, I mean, I might have to sit on this console for a while until my recycler gets a 500 in. And then I can swap it in. But for now, the 256 size is all that I really have available to me. So I might even just leave it in this test bench and try and figure it out today. Problem for later. For now, thermal testing. And also to see if if cloud saves work. Because that's not something that's really clear on Xboxes, whether or not I still have access to cloud saves, or is that a Game Pass feature only? So the reason I wanted to do even if I was just doing a small hard drive, just something that boots faster. Even though this is like a cold boot, it's not like a standby boot. There's quite a large difference. This is still like abysmal. Like now I think it's just like, whoa, why'd you plug a SSD in me? And I did reset everything, so I'm guessing it's kind of freaking out because I did that. But I think just I'm justifying this by just having the OS on a solid state, just that snappiness, I think will be well worth its weight in gold. Even if you can't hold too many on it, having the external 2TB for bulk would be perfect. I definitely know that when the Xbox One generation was still relevant and I was playing on my One S, putting Destiny on a solid state drive, even when it was just an external one, was quite a bit of a game changer. Like, it made a significant difference. So I'm hoping this will do the same. And I've never used a One X before, so the significant changes I saw in Destiny could be like even more significant. And I mean, I'm sitting here debating whether or not I actually want. Well, I think I'm gonna let this do its thing. I'll come back when I can actually boot into Red Dead. I don't know how long this is gonna take. After a bit of trial and tribulation, I was able to get the SSD to work. Now, I'll show that. So what I ended up having to do was, since this is a non-standard size, the partitioning tool isn't able to just partition it right off the bat, allow for a offline updater to actually update it. So what you needed to do was get a drive that was already formatted and updated and copy the contents onto it, essentially clone it, with the only difference being how much usable space the user has. So whatever usable space you can load game clips on and install games. That would have been the only adjustable point. I tried doing that with the... Grab it. I tried doing that with the 2TB drive that I had in it, but for some reason, I kept getting a 102 error. Every single time I tried cloning this drive, 102, 102, 102. The only thing that I could really think of is, because I already signed into this, or I put my credentials into this Xbox, I downloaded games onto it, I did a lot of stuff with this drive. So what I did, after sort of working on it and working on it and working on it, I grabbed a 500 gig, a brand new, or no, not brand new, it hasn't been used, unformatted, partitioned it, slapped it in the Xbox, updated it, and when I got to the beginning, like initialization, selecting your region, your language, popped it out, I turned it off first, obviously, cloned it, popped this back in, and something kind of interesting happened. So I guess the Xbox really does not like it when it's at that initialization screen and you essentially hot swap out the hard drives. So what it did was it went back into the update to reapply it. And the best thing that I could come up with, at least if AI is any authority as to what was going on, this drive wasn't pulling like metadata information that the Xbox uses. So when I cloned this drive onto this, the Xbox had no idea. Maybe it doesn't know where to look. Maybe it does like some internal checks on the files and they were just failing for some reason. But when I cloned that 500 gig and didn't set it up, and when I got the console to go back into reapplying the update, it was able to manually apply the metadata throughout the entire disk and function. Don't know why, but it worked. It was a bit of a hacky way. It definitely was not as easy as just, again, getting a 500, a 1 terabyte, or a 2 terabyte, slapping the partitions on it, offline uploader, it's good to go. It definitely took a lot more steps. So I tried putting the Xbox One X boot animations on this disc. I haven't tried it yet because I'm really not confident these boot animations actually work. But they do? I don't really understand. So let me power it on. I'm just gonna see what it does. I mean, assuming my capture card's actually catching. It might not be because I wasn't on the active display input. Did I accidentally yank out the HDMI? Yeah, so this is kind of what it does. It just completely bypasses the boot animation. So I don't know if those boot animations work. I'm gonna look into that. I'm also gonna blank that out because good old Xbox doesn't mind showing my name. So the one thing I really don't understand is how to put the boot animations on. It should be just as easy as just dragging and dropping them into the system, or into two different file folders within this drive, but they don't work. It's possible that my capture card doesn't see the boot animations, or the boot animations play before my capture card's able to sort of grab the device. That should not be the case. I have it on. I have it on my right input. And I think something is supposed to be playing right here. But instead it's just going to go straight to the user selection. I mean, what I can try and do is go just straight into a different USB cable, or a different HDMI. Because it shouldn't be a problem of setup, because I have everything set. So I plugged it into a port that completely bypasses my capture card, so it's not delayed by the capture card initializing, just in case I am missing the boot animation. But that black screen it hangs on does not inspire confidence that it's actually playing the boot animation. Yeah, because right now it's just hanging on a black screen, and then it'll just kick me into accounts. That might be something I need to fiddle with. I was hoping this would sort of figure itself out. Because the creator of the partitioning tools was like, yeah, just drop the boot animations in. It'll be good, bro. It is not good, bro. That partitioning tool is, I think it's a tool made for smart people, no matter how dumbed down it was. Because even just getting a 256 to work, that took a lot of, quite a bit of trial and error. That was not very well disclosed within the README. I don't think really, I think the only thing the README mentions is just, yeah, it'll work. But that was about it. So I'm going to check and see if there's any updates that I can apply. Maybe see if that fixes the No console dates available. Last updated 12/31/1600 at 4 p.m. That is hilarious. I think that's just the default for the updated or how the offline updater, because it doesn't have like a reference time point maybe. That's interesting. Well, let me try and turn it off and turn it on again and see if that changes. Okay, it's just like a quick start quick start power on. It just goes immediately into my profile. Let me see if I can alter that. So I do have it as shutdown. I'm going to turn off the abilities to keep my console up to date. I'm going to do shutdown. This completely shuts down my Xbox. Turn it on with my controller. Hanging on a black screen. I don't think those boot animations work. But they should. Which is kind of the confusing part. Unless there's something like, does me not having the front, like the sync button and the eject button, break the console this much? Shouldn't. If I remove the boot animations, will it sort of populate itself? Or I don't know how that's going to work. So I put it both into the A and B directories. Let's just put it into the A directory. Delete the one for the B directory. Maybe it's like freaking out because it's seeing two boot animations and it's like, my guy, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to give you a black screen. I can put back in my capture card as well once I do this. Because I recopied over the... Here's the boot animation. Just delete it from B. I can try re-downloading the boot animations if just I got a shitty install. Oh my god. File Explorer just shits all, like, 6 directories right onto my screen. And it does not like ejecting my disks, so I do that the medieval way. Because Windows is like, no, it's being used. It's like, bitch, I told you to eject the goddamn disk. I don't care if Windows itself is using it. I just need, like, force eject. Just kill all processes and safely eject. None of this, like, but it's being used. Eject as admin. Like, that's what I need to do. Eject all disks as admin. There you go. Alright. Capture card's in. Got the drive in, so let's power it up again. So the boot animation is only in the A folder. See if my capture card will initialize fast enough. And it doesn't, and that's not promising. So I'm gonna re-download the boot animations. They're not, I don't know if they're working. Maybe they're, I just got it at, I downloaded the whole thing off of the person's Google Drive, just the entire zip folder. So it'd be odd for it not to just not to somehow be corrupted. That just seems wrong. Maybe it has a problem with non-standard drives. What I could do is grab the 500 that I set up for this console. Hopefully it doesn't have a problem. Actually, I should try that first before I do anything. If it spits me an error, then I did set this one up for this console specifically, so I'm hoping it doesn't have a problem. I'm going to try the boot animations through this. It could be my non-standard size is having the problem. Now, this does not have boot animations. I kept it as, like, vanilla stock as humanly possible. So this is just with the partition, just with the update. Since the, I'm pretty sure, like, this will be an interesting test to see, like, what is exactly stored on the internal NAND versus the hard drive. Because if user profile data is stored on the NAND, things like my network credentials, my profile credentials, if that's all saved on the NAND, then this should functionally just boot into the dashboard, but I imagine there's some amount of security in place to be like, wait, this isn't right. And it being a disk drive is taking quite an enormous amount of time. I mean, this could just be an error as well, where this is just how the Xbox behaves when it has like a wacky hard drive. As much as I could just blame it on extra slow boot times. Alright, I'm thinking it's kind of erroring out here. This is how the Xbox behaves when it has a bad hard drive. Which I think this hard drive just needs to be in order for me to use it on this console, I would have to reformat it. I'm not going to do that because I really don't want to go through that entire process again. Just because it's not that it was hard, it just takes a long time. I'm going to plug my SSD in. I'm going to grab more boot animation files, or I'm going to re-download them and just see if maybe there was something wrong with my install. It's really the only thing I can think of. I had to do the instructional YouTube video saved. The 7-year-old tool. Wow. Let me just remove the boot animation. So here's the boot animation folder. 1x. I'm just going to re-download it off their Google Drive. Shouldn't take that long. I'm going to do what they recommend by just plopping it in both the A and the B folder of the system update. Bootanimation.dat, copy it, paste here, paste here. I wonder if I can get this boot animation to, like, this is a bit of an aside, I wonder if I can get this to run in VLC, if it recognizes a DAT format. Nah, it doesn't look like it. There's probably a way to, like, convert it. So both the same boot animation is dropped into both the A and the B folder, which was what they recommended, or for how you put the boot animations in. And this just might be a problem I need to work on, because I really have no idea why it's kind of not working. Again, it could be the non-standard drive. I'll have to try that on one of my consoles that has a standard drive, like one of my older Xbox ones that I have a terabyte and a 500 gigabyte in. Okay, so I did it again. Let's try it one more time. I really would like this to work, so as much as I was hoping I could get this thing put together today, I might have to forego that until I can get these boot animations figured out. I thought it would be a little easier than this, to be honest. Should have probably unplugged the power cable before yanking the SSD. I mean... And this console might kind of freak out a little because I did swap the hard drives. If I have to reformat it, that's fine. And this is not confidence-inspiring. Doesn't look like it worked. So this is a fresh download of the boot animations. It's possible that these are old files, and I need a more updated boot animation folder or something. We'll just see if it even goes to the user selection. I may be kind of... I may have to reformat everything because I sort of broke it a little. No, it works. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to look into why I don't get boot animations. Watch this. Ah, yeah. Boot animations, baby. So, I was doing nothing wrong. So, let me highlight this. Nothing I was doing was wrong. That tool was just outdated. Thanks to the work of this legendary Redditor, they found out that the boot animations that the partitioning tool had was completely out of date. And the current working theory, where did they have it? So what they did was they manually extracted the boot animations from up-to-date consoles. And their thinking is that the recent update changed the file, so the older file no longer works. So something about an update just killed the boot animations, which once I downloaded their link and applied the update, it works just fine. So I have this now in my toolbox that I can use. Yay! So this Xbox is good to go. I'll do like I'll show around the dashboard once I get to that point. I do want to put this thing back together. Turn it off. So I'm glad I got that all figured out. I might want to leave myself a note, because I will forget. And then I go to put this all back together, and I'd be like, what the heck? Why isn't this working? So rename this txt as note.txt. Boots from the partitioning tool are out of date. Use the Reddit boot animations. And then I'll include a link just in case I need to re-download these, or if I need to sort of send this to people. So I guess if you were running an older dashboard and you wanted to preserve that older firmware, you would need the older boot animations. But I know I'm going to need to sort of go through my other Xboxes and make sure that the boot animation is applied correctly. Okay, now all that's settled. Let me get this thing back together. So I do need to remount the hard drive correctly. Let me actually just unplug everything. And then I'm going to need to sort of go through all of my screws to see what I need to put back together. I need to remount the drive physically. I don't exactly like doing this. That puts a lot of strain on that cable. Let me just unplug the hard drive, so then I can put it back in its caddy. I'm glad I got that figured out. That was not exactly the adventure I was wanting to go on, software stuff, but it all worked out in the end. Oh, I'm putting this in upside down. That's better. Hard drive screws right here. The last thing I took out was a hard drive. Yep, I have the right bit in. But I am very pleased that I was able to do this. And I'm very pleased that it's something that can be done. So it's not like if a failed hard drive just completely kills the system. And that would just be a concern for these aging consoles. Or if a part fails, it's like, well, that stuff's married. You're boned. Which recent glitching efforts are definitely, like, sure, it's a means of piracy, and that's exactly what I'll primarily be using it for. Because I'm not gonna lie. If it gets to the point to where the Xbox One servers are shut down, and you can't log on to Xbox Live anymore through those old Xboxes, there's no point not to... There's no reason not to homebrew or jailbreak a console and just play it. Play it on original hardware. I really like playing ROMs and games on their original intended hardware. I just feel like they play better. Okay, I need to maybe watch or look at an iFixit guide and how I put all this back together. I can put this piece of foam back on, though. This foam is losing its stickiness. I've taken it off a couple too many times. I might have to double-side tape it just to help, like, stick it a little better. So let me go to iFixit. Xbox One X. Repair. I guess I'll go to the fan step, because that's about as deep as they get. I guess technically the hard drive is the deepest step. But it forgoes a lot of screws. I might actually have to watch back my video. One of the many failings of iFixit is sometimes they don't have the most comprehensive guide. I mean, they don't show you how... Oh, I guess they show you how to get to the fan. Which that would be really deep. It's just weird that it's the fan and not the motherboard. Here's my video. And then I kind of decided right there I'd put everything in the caddies. So it's the screw right underneath. I remember I kind of took this off in a weird order. So this screw goes, I think, right underneath here. If it's two screws, then I think I used one for the power plug. Just to hold it in place. I think these are all T10s, right? Oh no, according to what I'm doing, it's over here. It's this lone screw that's right here. I think it just attaches the motherboard down to the shell. That was for the that little USB. Okay, so I think those are X-clamp screws. They certainly look like X-clamp screws. And they certainly are. These are not T10s. Get them screwed in most of the way. And then this console, the only thing I want to do is I purchased another enclosure for it, or an enclosure for that 2 terabyte. I'm just going to ship it with it. I think having the main menu on the drive, or on a solid state, will just make it all snappier. I think it's worth that as an upgrade. And if I do happen to get a 500 gigabyte SSD between now and when I want to ship this, I'll upgrade it all. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it as it is. It'll be good enough to do some good testing on, and I don't think I don't think the performance will be too big a difference if I do jump up to a 500 gig, so any testing I do should be sufficient. I did have a screw down here. I got these screws a little mixed up, but they're all the same size, thankfully. 100 gigs of usable space really isn't that much, but just keep your favorite game on there, I suppose. Hey, I need this. I just hope the drive enclosure I get is not crap. Oi. And next I have 2 screws. What did I have for this? Are they the 2 different length ones? Oh, okay, those are for the other side. I need to put the sandwich together, I think. Gotta go grab the sandwich. Because they're for the 2 screws right here, if memory serves. That can go on later. The little foam isolator around the disk drive. Okay, I should do it. So now, I know it's like a long and a short boy. I think I'm getting to the point to where the iFixit guide will be useful again. So the long boy goes over here. And then the short boy goes on the other side. A little bit of foam did separate. Just gonna tuck it in. These are T10s. And the short boy. I'm guessing all 4 of these are for the hard drive. That would be the only logical place for them to go. Should have probably done this before I closed everything back up, just in case there's an alignment issue. Especially since this little leg isn't pulled through. Hoping it figures itself out as I start cinching it down. If not, I guess I can poke it a little. Should be lined up enough for it to just kind of snap into place. I tighten it. There it goes. Pulling that peg through. Okay, I have 2 screws, 3 long. I think I remember where all of these go. Right. Let me grab the lower panel. This will be a little finagly, given my space. I do need to put the ribbon cable attached to the front panel. I'll do that right now since I have the front panel separated, before I actually screw the thing in. And then I sort of rest the entire console in here. I have to kind of like hinge it in a little. Don't like the ribbon cable dangling like that, so I'll just plug that in. Because there's a lip on the disk drive that I have to sort of account for. Might be easier doing this upside down. I think I got it. No, I didn't. It didn't feel right. That felt better. There we go. Flip it back over. I now have to plug in this little Lego connector that is held down with the power of over-engineering. It's a T8 for some reason. Like, I think the juxtaposition of, like, this, like, hyper-secure Lego connector compared to this, like, delicate little ribbon cable is just, it's kind of hilarious. Like, okay, do we really need to flank this connector with 2 screws just to make sure that it never unplugs when it's not even necessary for the console to boot? I don't think so. I think it's a little over the top. I like over the top. I'll be more than happy to screw in every single connector on this entire board. But then you have just like a delicate little ribbon cable that will, if experience serves me, will tear on a whim. Oh, this is some nice and long threading. I think that's where the plug is itself, so... Alright, I'm ready to not lever this shut yet. I need to put in all the studs. Where do all the studs go? Okay. Are these all T10s? Yes. So we have stud, 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 and stud. I think I've said this before, I will say it again. I like working on this console. When a console is easy to open, and it's easy to, like, the fact that I even can replace the hard drive is fun. Like, I don't have to, like, I don't have to glitch the console to enter a custom firmware state in order to change out the hard drive of all things. Because on the Xbox 360, you cannot. But you don't also need the Xbox 360 to boot. It's just a usable drive for installs. But I mean, without a usable drive for installs, what, you're only farting around with like 4 gigs or less of actual usable space, which you can't do anything with. So let me now try and figure out how I put this top part on. I remember this being kind of a bore. I say it's easy to take off, but some of these plastic pieces, the tolerances are very tight. I'll say that. So it slides on. I just remember I have to kind of lever it on a little. I don't remember if it's this way. I think it'll be this way because there's a PCB over there that I don't want to harm. Oh, that kind of looked close. Hang on. Did I get it first try? Holy, look at me. I'm getting better at this. I need to update my little note right here. That's just the information I keep with the consoles. Just so that, like, I keep digital... Oh, it was bowing there for a second. I just had the... It wasn't clipped in all the way. Alright, look at you. Nice and spiffy. Alright, so now, time to do the little walk around that I have for it. Because I didn't do that. Well, actually I did do that, but I edited it out because I didn't realize that my capture card was capturing sound. And capturing sound it did. At the highest volume I think OBS could allow, and just completely just slaughtered my eardrums listening to that back. Holy. So I'm going to plug in power, my capture card, as well as the external hard drive. I'm going to turn on the enclosure, because that enclosure is meant for a 3.5 inch, so it needs the supplemental power. Alright. Now, turn on the capture card feed. The console powered on. It is powering on. I have it synced to this controller. I mean, flashing, but it did send a power up signal. Oh yeah. Power the Xbox One X. That is so much better than a black screen. I love it. Alright, I'm going to be sort of selectively blanking this out because Xbox has no problem showing my name. Which I really wish it didn't, but considering this is my main Xbox account, the more identity I can put on this console, the better. So let me go over to settings and show the drives that I have. So I did put it is a 256 SSD, which is currently registering as 138 usable, or at least 137.7 usable, which is big enough for even a pretty big game like Red Dead Redemption 2. I also have a 2 terabyte spinning drive that I have in a separate enclosure. So, like for this one, if it'll show me Red Dead Redemption 2's size, 123. So the SSD would store the entirety of Red Dead Redemption 2. And I know back when I used to play on the Xbox One days, I would just move these... I would move the game I actively played onto my SSD, which was Destiny 2 at the time, and just utilize the faster boot speeds. So you can theoretically go back and forth if you need to, but... Or just store smaller games on it, larger games on this. Because even though I do have Red Dead 2 on there, it will boot. It just takes a while. So I'll show it booting now. I won't do too much on this. You're just gonna have to kind of I need to do more extended thermal testings later. I don't remember if I cut what I'm about to say out already, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is one I've seen mentioned as a pretty good, like, benchmarking tool. Because you can just set yourself to auto-ride a horse across the map, and it takes a while to auto-ride across the entire map. The biggest problem I was having, though, is events happening in the game that would kill my character. So the 2 times this happened, I was running these thermal tests last night, and I either got jumped by a mountain lion, or just some dudes rolled up and just started shooting at me randomly. And I was watching my feed through my capture card as I was working on other things, and I just see these things happen, and it's like, okay, now I need to turn back on my monitor so I have a faster speed, because there's about a good 2-second delay between my capture card feed and what I actually see through the capture card, or the like feed through my capture card into my monitor. Grab my controller, get back on my horse, reset a location, and start riding again. Which, for benchmarking, I want to have the most hands-off that I can manage. So it would be starting a thing, having it go for a very predictable amount of time, and then checking up on it. Not any time between when I start and when it ends, I'll be pounced by a mountain lion of all things. There we go. Hey, almost on time. I'll get my horse. And sort of the general idea is just to do map, find the kind of like furthest point away from you, which I'm kind of in the middle of the map. I'll go over here. Just plunk a waypoint right there. Find the road. Hold A and then cinematic camera. I want to go a little faster than that. Oh, I didn't quite. I was probably in cinematic. It didn't feel right because I wasn't doing the sweeping shots. There you go. And it's just leaving it like that. Just letting the character and the horse just go. And this is great because Xbox has cloud saves that you don't require an account to use. So I can just plot my Red Dead Redemption 2 save on any console and just do this. But again, just the unpredictability of Red Dead Redemption 2 makes it not a very good... It's good in a pinch if you just needed something to prove that the Xbox isn't overheating. This will do it. Like, I think I ran back and forth across the map twice. I don't know if it's actually a completed twice, because the first time was a mountain lion, the second time was me getting shot. I don't think I actually made it across the entire map, but I got most of the way. But I mean, super cool. I want to see if I can find a better benchmarking game. Gears of War 5 apparently has a dedicated benchmarking mode that you can run. I don't have access to that game because I don't have Game Pass. That's where I originally played it. I was thinking of just picking up as modern of a Madden game as I could and just letting AI matches run. But ever since I took off that piece of plastic on the phase change, which I feel real stupid for not realizing that it's sandwiched between plastic. It's not just, yeah, that makes the most sense. Now that I took that plastic off, this thing seems to run perfectly fine. So, yep, I'll try and devise a good testing strategy. I don't think I really thoroughly tested the disk drive, but I have no reason to suspect it. Oh, didn't anger those guys. Perfect. Well, yep, I'll just leave that at that, and get to extended testing when I come up something that's thorough.